Hello and welcome to this inaugural episode of the weekly Commerce Riff with the CPG Guys. And of course, your co-host Sri Raj Gopalan, aka Papa Raj, co-founder and CRO of Think Blue Consulting. I'm joined by my co-host and co-founder of the CPG Guys, PVSP, aka Peter V.S. Buck. How you doing, man?
Sri, I'm doing great. Excited to start this weekly segment with you. The CPG Guys are happy to add by demand content that our audience has asked for, weekly highlights, and our opinions on some of the most important news items from our great CPG and retail omnichannel industry. So this is our first episode. You can also find this in video format on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Please do follow our Instagram, our TikTok, and our YouTube channels, simply called CPG Guys. Very easy. And by the way, that person, you know who you are, I'm not going to mention it by name, who asked whether we had an OnlyFans channel, I'm not even going to dignify that with a response. So let's get going, Sri. Item number one, Aldi. It's opening up a 25,000 square foot grocery store in of all places, Manhattan. Location is going to be the Ellery Building in Hell's Kitchen, and it will actually be larger than most of its nationwide stores. What are your thoughts? Why are they doing this?
Timing, Peter. Timing is everything. For the last 3-4 years, retailers have struggled with volume challenges due to pricing. Aldi being one of the price discounters, cannot think of actually a better location, as tough as this might be, than Manhattan to actually manage based on the basis of pricing alone. Secondly, Aldi is a well-known private brands, private label retailer, very strong brand equity, high trust from its consumers and shoppers, and then also known very well for freshness of product, because they have that wall of shame where when a product is not so fresh, it just gets cycled out at a discount. So you add all this up, the 225 new store expansion that they announced recently, Manhattan seems to be number one and one of its largest actual department stores. Congratulations, Aldi. I think it's a great move in a great location where cost of living is at an all-time premium and lead with price. Let me jump to the next one, Peter, which is Ulta Beauty. All good news around with their earnings announcement. There's a lot of noise. They raised the full year outlook. They are shining like in a sea of CPG companies, large companies, which are not shining so much. What's going on?
Yeah, Sri, beauty's been a pretty resilient category when you compare it to others that you typically find in a grocer or a mass merchant or a category killer. They have very strong loyalty. Their store layout is welcoming. It's a great customer experience. They also just cut ties with Target, a retailer that I think is arguably on the decline, while they're seeing really great numbers. So I think it's a pretty good picture for Ulta looking forward.
I want to underscore one very important thing that you said, Peter, over here, which is omnichannel.
Yeah, Sri, when I talk about omnichannel, I think about a company like L'Oreal, where 30% of their volume, 30% is online. And you have strong D2C in the beauty category. Ulta is selling brands that are also available D2C. It is the epitome of where e-commerce will be going. All the other categories are laggard. These guys are ahead of the game.
Yeah, and it's a training for food and beverage companies. You may still be hanging on to the fact that 85% of your volume is done in store, whatever your number is. If you're not omnipresent via omnichannel, make six, man. Content, assortment, pricing. If you don't muscle up online, you are bad.
All right, Sri, let me throw it back to you. Gap reported Q2 earnings last week. They've bet heavily on this hot new K-pop band called Cat's Eye. What are you seeing over there?
Oh boy. This one's been in the news quite a bit this past week, right? So Gap's CMO and I even traded messages. Want to guess why, Peter? Because Cat's Eye and, of course, Lara, my daughter's in the band. And this was a brand new ad that was put out by them about 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, whatever it was. Made a lot of noise in the country. Ad Age recognized it immediately. Ad Week recognized it immediately. And so many advertising publications as one of the best comeback ads in the history of branding, and especially in clothing. Lots of comparisons to American Eagle and what they did with Sydney Sweeney. A lot of conversation about the fact that why they chose Cat's Eye. 6 girls with 6 diverse backgrounds. Gap is for everybody, anybody and everybody, the perfect genes, things of that nature. I looked at the results from Q2, which we recently announced. I jumped in pretty deeply, started looking at the numbers, did some digging to see what the story is. The revenue is pretty flat year over year. However, e-commerce, there you go, omnichannel, rose 3%, and that tariff is actually impacting inventory because we know most clothing in the United States is actually made externally. You look at that, net income did grow, they cut some costs, etc., but net Gap hasn't grown significantly year over year quarter comparison. This ad, will it be the messiah? Will it help drive sales? Now, if it was about the buzz and what a CMO needs to do to create a viral moment, check, 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 check. They've got the attention. The question is, 1 quarter out when they report sales and earnings again, will this have translated to actual sale of Gap jeans and the rest of Gap's portfolio? That will know. Virality, score.
Shri, did I mention to you that my daughter's latest obsession is Netflix hottest show, K-pop Demon Killers?
It's big, Shri. Demon Hunter, right? Demon Hunter.
Yeah, the Demon Hunter, yes.
And they're starting to make all kinds of toys about that right now, so exciting stuff. Anyway, so let me get to another one, Peter. Of course, American Eagle had to respond. So what do? Within a week, 10 days of all this buzz created by Gap with Cat's Eye, they announced that the Travis Kelce has been signed to represent menswear. What do you think about that? Especially in lieu of all the buzz around his engagement to none other than one of the greatest stars in the history of entertainment, Taylor Swift.
Well, I'll tell you, that's a quick comeback, but this isn't really about the jeans. It's, from my understanding, Shri, a partnership with Travis's True Colors brand, one that represents what I would consider to be a very diverse ad platform and a menswear brand. So, I'm not thinking it's comparable in nature to trying to come back off the Sydney Sweeney thing.
He just got engaged to Taylor Swift.
He did, and Shri, I can't tell you how that's the other thing that we didn't put on the list, but we got to acknowledge.
Now we're putting it on the list.
Every single commercial entity is on board, congratulating them and trying to tie their brand to their engagement. It is remarkable.
Why do you think?
Because this is popular. They want to be a part of it. This is like royalty wedding.
Buzz, it'll get its public time in court and publicly. Noise, buzz. Isn't that what advertising is about?
I think it's all about that. There's nothing more viral than Taylor and Kelce, right?
Yeah. So I think the issue here is they have Cat's Eye, a group of 6. This is Travis Kelce, True Colors brand, football. Again, going to a certain segment of the population. People who care about football. What if they sign Taylor Swift, but maybe she's unaffordable? I don't know, Peter. What do you think?
I think she's going to be given Travis Kelce a very big prenup document. We'll just leave it at that, Shri.
Yeah, there's a lot of buzz in the news, and that's what we do here in this new segment. We're going to riff that the prenup document is already in the works.
I'm happy to say Shri and I don't have a prenup. We do not have a prenup in place.
I don't think there was such a word when I got married. I mean, was there such a word back in?
Well, I meant even between us running our business.
Do we need a prenup?
No, we don't. We're on a handshake. We're the best of friends, right?
Yeah. So all that said, folks, this is our new podcast. Short, sweet. You ask for content, weekly, highlight-worthy news. We used to do the Fresh Flow, if you remember. So that's our take on relevant commerce happenings from so many announcements that we actually filtered through, looked through, and built this for you. These were meaningful. We could not pass it on for a rip. We hope you enjoyed it. Please do click, like, our posts on all platforms. Follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, and now back by popular demand, YouTube. Thank you, Peter, for this first riff. We will see you next week for another edition of the Commerce Riff by the CPG Guys.
The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.